Fetch quests in video games? Pretty damn repetitive and boring. But fetch quests in tabletop games, now there's an opportunity for some real fun. Hello everyone, and welcome back down here to The Gamer's Den with me, your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. Joining me is my youngest, most adorable co-host, Finn, apprentice storyteller and uninitiated as yet into any circles of lore, but nonetheless, still a capable co-host. I mean, look at him. That inexhaustible wit, that incredible depth of charm, absolutely a great fit and a wonderful addition to the rest of our adventuring party here at the Gamer's Den. But today I wanted to talk about fetch quests in tabletop games. We've played them in video games and in particular MMOs, go get me 10 warthog scrotums, go get me 3 pig jowls, go get me 5 kobold toes, but it just keeps happening, go kill 6 snow moose, things like that, and it's just like, okay, that's pretty boring, that's not super involving. But for tabletop games is an entirely different story and allows you to throw some challenges to the players, or at least give a different context to the story overall. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here to the channel, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamer's Den. Or if you've already gone on ahead and listed yourself on such an incredible roster of legendary heroes, then go on down to hit the like button and share the video far and wide. But now let's actually start talking about what you can do with fetch quests. Well, as with anything, you can still have players go out and just retrieve items and resources for whatever NPC might be requesting it of them. But you can get the players much more involved, there can be a bit more information about what everything there is for. And not only that, but because they're gathering items for somebody else, there isn't the same sense of dire urgency, or at least not necessarily. There's more room for it to be kind of a standard thing, but you can still have them going on incredible adventures. For example, gathering up adamantium ore enough for any kind of project can be a massively difficult prospect. I mean, it's described as, in some cases, being a mineral so precious that you can't even scour the world enough to make, say, an adamantine golem. That's pretty damn terrifying in and of itself. So what's the solution? To go to the elemental plane of Earth and gather the resource there. It'll still be rare, but at least there it should be much more plentiful and readily harvestable for the players overall. Yeah, exactly. So, by having the players engage with that kind of a fetch quest, having to figure out how they're going to get to the elemental plane of Earth, or if their contractor has a means for them getting there, then they have to figure out how they're going to gather it. And again, that may be an instance where the person they're contracting with might have an option for them. And I've always liked the idea of somebody giving the players an adamantine dagger and saying, here, use this to gather as much adamantium as you can from the elemental plane of Earth. So, the strongest person in the party takes the dagger and uses it to basically make strength checks, attack checks, to start carving out as much as they can to start bringing it back with them. And so, figuring out, the relative thickness, the the hardness, the hit point values, and it's just seeing how much they can actually start carving away as different threats start coming in. It's the elemental plane of Earth. It can be shifting sometimes, just massive earthquakes rumbling through it. If it's near the borders of the elemental plane of fire, there could be lava flows that end up seeping through, molten rock and ores. And then to top it off, you could have fire elementals, earth elementals, creatures that are native to the elemental plane could come bearing down on them, attracted by the noise and the activity, depending on what kind of protective measures the players put in place. And that can make for an incredibly exciting adventure. And because it's one where the stakes are not necessarily incredibly dire, they can go, okay, how... We really have to do a little bit of math here, balancing the risk versus reward on this, because this is just for some dude's project, and he's got the coin to pay us for this, and the means of getting us here and the means of getting us out. But is this really worth our lives? Do we really want to stick it out here? Now, a lot of players may be, especially, if they're not real worried about the roleplay aspect, they might still go, oh yeah, totally, let's do it. But, death still means it's over. Death means they don't get that payout or the experience from it. So they may still decide, okay, yeah, let's still just cut this early and get back so we can get our pay. And if down the line they answer this person's call again, they may go, okay, with some of the extra adamantine ore that you had gotten from me last time, I had this adamantine pick fashioned, so now you'll be able to mine better, faster, and gather more resources. But because it's dealing more damage, it's making more noise, and the whatever enchantments and ensorcelments might be placed on the pick might mean that it poses as acts as a bit more of a beacon to the creatures native of the elemental plane, so they're more likely to come investigating what's making all that racket, why they've got this thing registering on their radar that's coming across as a threat to them. But what do you think? Go on down to the comments below and let me know your thoughts. Did you like today's video? Did you dislike it? It's a quick tips episode, so hopefully everything makes a certain amount of sense. Certainly it felt like it did to me, but still, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit those like or dislike buttons, and if you haven't done so already, go on down there, hit the subscribe button, and become a regular member here at the Gamers Den. But with all that said, I've been your host, Jordan, your master of lore and storyteller extraordinaire. This has been Finnegan, apprentice storyteller and uninitiated into any circles of lore. Thank you all so much for your time, and you all have yourselves a good night.